Oxford Read and Discover, Level 5, All About Islands, by James Styring. Read by Wayne Forrester. Published and copyright Oxford University Press, 2011. Introduction. An island can be very small or it can be big, with mountains, lakes, roads and cities. Some islands are hot, but others are covered with ice. Some islands have animals and plants that don't live anywhere else. Only about 10% of people live on islands. Do you live on an island? What islands do you know? What is the biggest island? Do you know any of these islands?
Discover!
Now read and discover more about islands around the world. Chapter 1. What is an island? An island is a piece of land with water all around it. There are many different types of island. Where are islands? Less than 30% of Earth's surface is land. There are 7 continents and thousands of islands. Some islands are in the middle of an ocean, and others are near the mainland. Many islands are so small that you can't see them on this map. How do islands form? Islands can form in a lot of different ways. Some islands formed a long time ago. About 20,000 years ago, Earth was very, very cold. Lots of water from the oceans froze into ice, and the sea level went down everywhere. Later, Earth became warmer, and a lot of the ice melted, and the sea level went up. Places that were valleys and mountains 20,000 years ago became seas and islands. Sometimes, land can move away from the mainland to form an island. It takes thousands of years for islands to form in this way. Volcanoes under the ocean erupt, and the lava can form volcanic islands. In 2009, a new volcanic island formed in the Pacific Ocean, near Tonga. Sometimes, waves move the sand at the bottom of the ocean to form islands. In warm oceans, coral grows to form coral islands. Another way is when rivers carry rainwater with small pieces of soil, rocks and plants. When the water in a river goes slowly, these things in the water fall to the bottom, and they can build up and form islands in the river. The Mekong River in Asia has a lot of islands that are made in this way. Amazing species. The animals and plants on some islands grow in different ways from the species on the mainland. Some species live on only one island and nowhere else on Earth. Hispaniolan solenodons live on one island called Hispaniola in the Caribbean Sea. Solenodons are about 50 centimeters long. They have a long nose, and they are the only mammal with poison in their teeth. They use their nose and teeth to hunt insects and other small animals. Hispaniolan solenodons lived at the time of the dinosaurs, 65 million years ago. The solenodons are now in danger because people are cutting down the forests where they live, and dogs are hunting them too. If we don't protect them, the last solenodons will die and the species will become extinct. Chapter 2. Volcanic Islands. When volcanoes erupt, hot gases, ash and lava fly into the air. When a volcano under the ocean erupts, the water cools the lava and it becomes rock. After lots of eruptions, the lava can form a volcanic island. Active volcanic islands. There are thousands of volcanic islands, and some have active volcanoes. Mount Fuji on Honshu Island in Japan is an active volcano, but it hasn't erupted for more than 300 years. The volcano on Stromboli Island in the Mediterranean Sea erupts about every 2 hours. Some of the Canary Islands in the Atlantic Ocean have black beaches. This is because the lava from volcanoes forms a black rock when it cools. The wind and waves have changed the rock into sand.
Discover!
Hawaii is an active volcanic island in the Pacific Ocean. It's getting bigger every year because of the lava from its volcanoes. Hot rock. The underground rock on volcanic islands is often very hot. When underground water meets hot volcanic rock, the water boils. Some of the hot water evaporates into steam, and the steam pushes the hot water up into the air. When this happens, the hot water is called a geyser. Iceland is a volcanic island with a lot of geysers. Iceland is cold, but even in winter there are hot water pools where people can swim. Plants grow well in the warm ground near the geysers.
Discover!
Birds have to keep their eggs warm. Most birds sit on their eggs, but incubator birds on some volcanic islands leave their eggs in warm volcanic ash. Plants on volcanic islands. After volcanoes erupt on islands, the lava cools and forms rock. Birds sometimes drop plants and seeds onto the rock when they are flying over. Plants can grow because the rock contains minerals. When the plants die, they form soil and then more plants grow. Plants grow very well in the fertile soil near extinct volcanoes on islands. After thousands of years, big forests can grow in fertile volcanic soil. Volcanic islands like Borneo, Sumatra, New Guinea, and Jeju have fertile soil and big forests. Rice and tropical fruit grow well on volcanic islands in hot countries like Indonesia and the Philippines, and the forests are full of incredible plants. The world's biggest flower is the Rafflesia arnoldi. It can be 1 meter wide. It smells horrible. It grows in the forests on the island of Sumatra in Indonesia. There are very big trees on Sumatra, but every year people cut down more and more trees and take the wood. This is a problem because one day there will be no more big trees in the forests.
Discover!
There are about 17,500 islands in Indonesia, but people live on only about 6,000 of them. Chapter 3. Tropical Islands. There are a lot of tropical islands near the equator in the Pacific Ocean, the Caribbean Sea, and the Indian Ocean. Tropical islands are warm, and many of them are made of coral. Coral islands. Coral looks like a colourful plant, but it's a very small animal. Most corals live in warm, tropical seawater, and when they die, they produce hard skeletons. Corals grow in large groups, and millions of coral skeletons form underwater reefs. Waves push sand over a reef to form a coral island.
Discover!
The Great Barrier Reef is near Australia. It's about 2,500 kilometers long, and it has about 2,900 reefs and more than 600 coral islands. It's so big that astronauts can see it from space. Coral reef animals. More than 1,500 different species of fish and a lot of other animals live in coral reefs. Tropical fish are all the colors of the rainbow. Near coral reefs and islands, you can also find sea turtles and starfish. Box jellyfish live around the Great Barrier Reef. They come from the same animal family as coral, but they look very different. Their legs are about 3 meters long, but they don't have much color, so they are hard to see. Box jellyfish are some of the most poisonous animals on Earth, and you should never touch them. Pacific Islands. There are about 30,000 islands in the Pacific Ocean. The coconut crab lives on a lot of Pacific Islands. It's one of the biggest land crabs on Earth, and it's very strong. It can open a coconut with its legs. Bamboo plants grow tall and strong on many Pacific Islands. People make houses from bamboo. Many people also eat young bamboo plants.
Discover!
On Pentecost Island in Vanuatu, the young men climb up bamboo towers that can be 35 meters tall. Then they dive toward the ground with ropes around their ankles. Mauritius. The dodo only lived on the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. Birds usually fly away from danger, but thousands of years ago, there weren't any other animals on Mauritius that hunted the dodo. The dodo didn't need to escape by flying, so it flew less and less every year. When Europeans came in 1507, the dodo wasn't scared and it couldn't fly. The Europeans' dogs, rats and cats ate all the dodos. The last dodo died by about 1700, and the dodo became extinct. Chapter 4. Amazing Island Species. Some islands have amazing species of animals and plants that don't live anywhere else. Most wild animals are scared of people, but some animals on islands aren't scared of anything. Do you know why? Komodo Island. The Komodo dragon is the largest lizard on Earth. It's about 3 meters long. It has strong legs and a long tail. It only lives on Komodo Island and on 3 other small islands in Indonesia. The Komodo dragon can run and swim fast. It has sharp teeth, and it has poison in its mouth. It eats deer and buffaloes. It even eats other Komodo dragons. Young Komodo dragons have to live in trees so that the adults can't eat them.
Discover!
The Komodo dragon can smell things with its tongue. New Guinea. New Guinea is a big island in the Pacific Ocean near Australia. The forests on this island are very wild, and there are places that people have never visited. Scientists keep discovering amazing new species here. There's a kangaroo that lives in trees, and a giant woolly rat. The woolly rat is as big as a cat, and it's the biggest rat on Earth. Most wild animals run away from people, but the woolly rat and the tree kangaroo aren't scared. This is because they have never seen people before, and they don't know that people hunt some animals.
Discover.
On New Guinea, scientists have also found a giant jumping spider and a frog with teeth like Dracula's. Galapagos Islands. The Galapagos Islands are in the Pacific Ocean near Ecuador. The islands are famous for the Galapagos tortoise. There are important differences between the tortoises on the different Galapagos Islands. Some of the islands are dry and some are rainy. The tortoises on the dry islands have a long neck. This helps them to eat the leaves of trees. The tortoises on the rainy islands have a short neck because they eat grass and other plants on the ground. These differences help scientists to understand how animals have grown differently in different places. Madagascar. There are about 10,000 species of plant on Madagascar, a big island in the Indian Ocean. Most of the plants don't live anywhere else. Madagascar baobab trees are huge. They can grow 30 meters tall, and they can live for 1,000 years. Sometimes it doesn't rain for months, but the baobabs can live because they are full of water.
Discover.
There are about 60 types of lemur, and they only live on Madagascar. A lemur uses its long tail to move in the trees and to communicate with other lemurs. Chapter 5. Remote Islands. It can be hard to live on islands that are very far from the mainland. On some remote islands, life hasn't changed for thousands of years. Anuta. Anuta is a very remote island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. About 250 people live on Anuta. They don't use money and they share everything. The weather is hot, so fruit like coconuts, papayas and bananas grow well, but the island is tiny. Sometimes the people can't grow enough food, so they sail to another island where they have a garden. Tristan da Cunha. Tristan da Cunha is one of the most remote islands on Earth. It's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The weather isn't cold, but the Atlantic winds are strong. There are a lot of ocean birds like albatrosses and penguins. About 300 people live on Tristan da Cunha, and they share only 8 family names. They are the families of the people who came to the island in 1816. They speak English. Most people are farmers or fishermen. There isn't an airport, and ships only visit a few times every year. In the past, it was hard to communicate with the rest of the world, but now people have telephones and the internet. Easter Island. Easter Island is in the Pacific Ocean, 3,500 kilometers from Chile in South America. Once it had big forests and a lot of birds. Then, more than 1,000 years ago, people came to the island in canoes. They built farms and towns, and for hundreds of years they cut down a lot of forest trees to make houses, boats, and firewood. About 200 years ago, they cut down the last tree. Without wood, they couldn't make fires or build houses, and life was hard. A lot of the birds and animals died, and most of the people left Easter Island.
Discover.
People on Easter Island made big statues with big heads. They are made of volcanic rock. Socotra. Socotra is an island in the Indian Ocean, near Somalia. It's very dry. Spiders and reptiles like snakes, lizards and chameleons live there. Chameleons have hard skin, and some can change colour from green to pink, blue, red, orange, green, black, brown or yellow. On Socotra, there are 800 species of plant, and 30% of them don't live anywhere else. The ancient Romans went to Socotra 2,000 years ago to collect the special red juice from inside the dragon's blood tree. They used the juice as a medicine.
Discover!
A chameleon's eyes can look in two different places at the same time. Chapter 6. Big Islands. Islands in the middle of the oceans are often small. The biggest islands are all near a continent. What big islands do you know? The biggest islands. This picture of Earth shows the 8 biggest islands. Greenland is the biggest island. It's more than 2 million square kilometres. Some big islands, like Madagascar, are countries. Others are part of a bigger country. For example, Baffin Island is part of Canada. Some islands, like Honshu, have lots of people. Other islands, like New Guinea, don't have many people, but they have amazing plants and animals. Greenland. Greenland is 3 times bigger than any other island. It isn't green. It's mostly white with ice and snow. There are almost no trees, and only about 55,000 people live there. About 80% of the people are Inuit. Many Inuit people hunt and eat fish and seals. A lot of the animals are white, like the Arctic fox, so other animals can't see them in the snow. The biggest animals here are the polar bears. They have huge paws, so they can walk easily on the snow. They can run fast, and they can swim more than 100 kilometres. In winter, they hunt seals. In summer, they don't eat very much.
Discover!
Polar bears don't have white skin. Their white fur is about 5 centimetres thick, but they have black skin. Their black skin helps them to stay warm. New Zealand. Most of New Zealand is 2 big islands called the North Island and the South Island. The islands are very different from each other. The South Island has a lot of big mountains. It even has some glaciers. The Lord of the Rings movies were filmed on the South Island. The North Island is volcanic, with geysers and hot water pools. People have lived on the islands for about 1,200 years. 3 of New Zealand's birds can't fly. The most famous of these birds is the kiwi. The heaviest insect on Earth, the giant weta, also lives in New Zealand. Tasmania. Tasmania is a big island about 240 kilometres south of the mainland of Australia. The Tasmanian devil only lives on Tasmania. It's the same size as a small dog, and when it's scared, it makes a horrible smell. The long hairs next to its nose help it to hunt for food at night. It has a strong mouth and sharp teeth for eating meat. It's noisy when it eats. Its favourite food is the wombat, an animal that only lives in Australasia.
Discover!
A Tasmanian devil that weighs 6 kilograms can eat 2 kilograms of meat at one time. Chapter 7. Man-made islands. Some parts of the world are very busy, and there isn't enough land for everyone. That's why people sometimes build new islands for farms, homes, stores, and airports. City islands. Sometimes people build cities on man-made islands. Odaiba Island is in Tokyo Bay in Japan. It was built about 150 years ago so that people could stop unfriendly ships coming to Tokyo. From about 1990, people built stores, restaurants, parks, and apartments on Odaiba Island. Today, Odaiba Island is a busy part of Tokyo City. Floating islands. The Inta people live by Inla Lake in Burma. Their houses are on wooden stilts that go into the water of the lake. They make floating islands with reeds, a type of thick grass. When the reeds are dry, they float on the water. On the islands, the Inta people grow rice and vegetables. They also go fishing in the lake for the fish that live under the islands.
Discover!
Inta men use their legs to row their boats. Vacation islands. In Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, tourists like the clear blue ocean with pretty tropical fish and coral. The land is very dry and sandy, and there aren't enough beaches, so people have built islands in the ocean. The first area of man-made islands was Palm Jumeirah. It has hotels, stores, and thousands of homes.
Discover!
The Burj Al Arab in Dubai is one of the tallest hotels in the world. It's 321 meters tall. It looks like the sail of a boat, and it's built on a small man-made island. Airport islands. Incheon International Airport in South Korea is built on a man-made island between two natural islands. Incheon is one of the busiest airports in the world, but it wasn't the first airport on a man-made island. 2 Chinese airports and 5 Japanese airports are built on man-made islands too. The first was Kansai International Airport in Japan. Airports are often built on islands because there isn't enough land near big cities. Airport islands are big, about 4 kilometers long. They are often connected to the mainland by long bridges. The bridge from Incheon to the mainland is more than 20 kilometers long. Chapter 8. Protecting our islands. Earth's islands have amazing animals and plants, but life on islands is often in danger. Species can become extinct, and some islands could even disappear, so it's important to protect our islands. Disappearing islands. Our cars, factories, and power stations produce too many gases like carbon dioxide. Earth is getting warmer because there's too much carbon dioxide in the air. This is called global warming. Global warming means that there are more storms and rain. More ice is melting in the Arctic and the Antarctic, so the sea level is getting higher, and some islands are disappearing. A few islands between India and Bangladesh have already disappeared underwater. Some islands in the Pacific Ocean will probably disappear in 100 years if we don't slow down global warming. Some of the Maldive Islands in the Indian Ocean will probably disappear sooner. Most of the land is less than 2 meters above sea level. We can try to slow down global warming by making less carbon dioxide. We can drive and fly less, and we can use cleaner cars. We should use less coal and oil to make electricity. There are cleaner ways of making electricity.
Discover!
To help the Maldive Islands, people are designing new islands and towns that float. These islands won't disappear underwater. Disappearing species. Global warming is changing life on islands. When the sea level gets higher, some species don't have a place to live. Storms and floods can kill plants and animals. Coral dies when seawater gets too warm. Thousands of species live around coral reefs, but they can't live there if the coral is dead. We can help species on islands by slowing down global warming. When too many tourists visit small islands, it's sometimes bad for plant and animal life. We can protect special islands by making them a conservation area. The islands in this photo are a conservation area in Thailand. They are a safe place for plants and animals to live. Islands that are protecting Earth. The Svalbard Islands are in the Arctic Ocean. Global warming probably won't melt Svalbard's ice, and its high mountains probably won't disappear underwater. This is why scientists from Norway built the Svalbard Global Seed Vault there in 2008. It's a place where they will store an example of each of Earth's 1.5 million seeds. A plant could disappear because of global warming or a natural disaster, but it won't become extinct. That's because people can grow another plant from the seeds in the Global Seed Vault.
Discover!
The Global Seed Vault is inside a rocky mountain at the end of a long tunnel. Most seeds will stay fresh at -18 degrees centigrade for 20,000 years.